More advanced car features are being introduced nowadays, and while these new upgrades are definitely cool and fun to have, not all of them are as good as they seem. Some of these features can actually affect your car's reliability and even shorten its lifespan over time. So before you get too excited about every new button or system, it's good to know which ones might cause more trouble than help. In this video, we've listed 21 car features that could end up hurting your car in the long run. Ready to find out if your car has any of them? Then let's get started. 1. Engine start-stop systems. The first feature on our list is the engine start-stop system, and while it sounds smart and fuel-efficient, it actually has more downsides when it comes to your car's reliability and long-term health. This system automatically shuts off your engine when you stop and restarts it when you release the brake. It's meant to save fuel and reduce emissions, but the constant stopping and starting puts a lot of extra stress on your engine components. Over time, parts like the starter motor, battery, and even the crankshaft bearings wear out faster because they're being used much more often than they would be in a car without this feature. While the fuel savings are small, the potential cost of replacing the worn parts can easily outweigh that benefit. So, if you plan to keep your car for years, this feature might end up being more of a headache than a help. 2. Keyless entry. The second feature on our list is keyless entry, which feels super convenient because you can just unlock or start your car without even taking the key fob out of your pocket. But when it comes to long-term reliability and security, this feature brings more problems than benefits. One of the biggest issues is signal hacking or relay attacks. Thieves can easily use signal boosters to trick your car into thinking the key fob is nearby, allowing them to unlock and even start your car without the actual key. Aside from security risks, the system itself can become unreliable over time. The sensors that detect the key can fail, or the key fob battery can die suddenly, leaving you locked out or unable to start your car. Reprogramming these keyless systems can also be expensive compared to traditional keys, so while keyless entry might be a nice convenience, it is also costly and can be a hassle in the long run. 3. Dual clutch transmission, DCT. The third feature on our list is the dual clutch transmission, DCT. When it's new and working perfectly, it really does deliver smooth and fast gear changes, but over time, this type of transmission can become one of the most unreliable and expensive components to maintain or repair. One of the biggest downsides is that DCTs are very sensitive to heat and wear. They rely on multiple clutches and precise computer controls to change gears, which means they need perfect timing and proper lubrication to stay healthy. In heavy traffic or stop-and-go situations, they often overheat because they're constantly engaging and disengaging the clutches. This leads to jerky shifts, slipping, or even complete transmission failure, all of which are costly to fix. So while a dual-clutch transmission can make your car feel faster, it can also shorten the vehicle's lifespan if not properly cared for. 4. Ambient lighting. The fourth feature on our list is ambient lighting, which has become more popular in modern cars for adding high-end feel to the interior. While it looks great and gives the cabin a premium touch, ambient lighting doesn't really add anything to the car's performance or reliability. Also, over time, the wiring and LED strips used for ambient lighting can start to fail or flicker, especially in cars exposed to a lot of heat or moisture. Replacing these lights also usually requires removing interior panels, which can be time-consuming and costly. In some cases, poorly installed or factory defects in lighting systems can even lead to short circuits that drain the battery or interfere with other electronic parts in the car. So, while it's nice and makes your car look more modern, its only feature is added style but not reliability. 5. Driver assist. The fifth feature on our list is driver assist systems, which include technologies like lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, automatic emergency braking, and parking sensors. These are designed to make driving easier by helping you stay in your lane, keep distance from other cars, and even stop automatically when needed. While these sound great during daily drives, they also bring a lot of complexity that can hurt your car's long-term reliability. The main issue is that driver assist systems rely on multiple sensors, cameras, and radar units, all of which are exposed to dirt, weather, and road debris. Over time, these can get damaged, misaligned, or simply wear out. When that happens, the systems start to malfunction, showing error messages, or even disabling key safety features. Another downside is that these advanced systems add more electrical and software components that increase the chances of system errors. So, while driver assist features can be convenient, they can also be expensive maintenance and can also hurt your car's overall reliability. 6. Cramped engine bays. The next feature on our list is cramped engine bays, and this one directly affects both your car's reliability and how easy it is to maintain. Modern cars are designed to fit more technology and performance into smaller spaces, which often means squeezing the engine, wiring, and other components tightly together. While this helps improve aerodynamics and fuel efficiency, it also makes the engine bay harder to work on, and that's where the problems start. When everything is packed too tightly, heat builds up faster and has nowhere to escape, which puts more stress on hoses, seals, and plastic parts. Over time, this can cause components to crack or fail earlier than usual. Even simple jobs like replacing spark plugs, belts, or sensors can take hours longer because mechanics have to remove several other parts just to reach them. That means higher labor costs and a greater chance of mistakes or damage during repairs. So, while tight engine layouts may look modern and efficient, they often create a chain reaction of heat problems, costly labor, and reduced lifespan for your car's components. 7. Direct injection. Direct injection is another feature that's become more common in many modern cars because it improves fuel efficiency and power. But when it comes to long-term reliability, direct injection engines actually come with several drawbacks that can affect how your car performs as it ages. In a direct injection system, fuel is sprayed straight into the combustion chamber instead of mixing with air in the intake port like older systems. This helps burn fuel more efficiently, but the downside is that the intake valves no longer get cleaned by fuel. Over time, carbon buildup starts to form on the valves and other parts of the intake system. This can cause rough idling, poor acceleration, misfires, and even engine knocking if not cleaned regularly. Take note that cleaning it usually requires expensive maintenance. Another issue is that direct injection engines often run at higher pressure and temperature, which puts extra stress on fuel pumps and injectors. These parts can wear out faster and are costly to replace. So while direct injection offers good performance and fuel economy, it also increases the risk of expensive repairs and performance issues in the long run. 8. Haptic controls. Haptic controls, or touch-sensitive buttons, also often cause more problems than benefits. Unlike traditional physical buttons or knobs, haptic controls depend on sensors and touch panels that can easily wear out, stop responding, or lag over time. This can make simple tasks like adjusting the temperature or changing the radio more frustrating, especially when driving. Another issue is that they rely heavily on software, which means they can glitch, freeze, or require expensive repairs if the interface fails. Physical buttons, on the other hand, are much easier and cheaper to fix, and since touch controls require you to look down and accurately tap the right spot, they also reduce driver focus, which can affect safety as well as comfort. 9. Steering wheel controls. Next, we have steering wheel controls that are convenient because they let you manage music, calls, and other features without taking your hands off the wheel. However, when it comes to long-term lifespan, they can actually cause more issues than benefits. Since these controls rely on electrical connections and wiring that pass through the steering column, over time, those can wear out or break, especially the clock spring, which is the part that allows buttons to work while turning the wheel. When that fails, it can affect not just the buttons, but also other systems like the airbag or horn. Additionally, as cars add more digital and Bluetooth-linked controls, the software that manages them can also glitch, leading to unresponsive or inconsistent buttons. In short, while steering wheel controls make driving more convenient, they also add more parts that can fail over time, meaning more electrical wear and higher repair costs. 10. Voice recognition. Voice recognition systems in cars are meant to control things like navigation, calls, and music without using your hands. But in terms of reliability, the biggest issue is inaccuracy, because these systems can misunderstand commands, especially with background noise, different accents, or unclear speech. When that happens, drivers get frustrated and end up repeating themselves or getting distracted, which defeats the purpose of convenience. Another concern is that voice systems depend heavily on software and internet connectivity. If the system isn't updated regularly or loses connection, it can stop working, especially in older cars where updates are less frequent. This also means more things can go wrong, like microphone issues, software bugs, or failed updates can easily make the feature unreliable. So, while voice recognition might sound high-tech, it's one of those features that tend to wear out in usefulness and dependability as the car ages. 11. Cylinder deactivation. Another feature we have is cylinder deactivation, which is designed to save fuel by shutting off some of the engine's cylinders when you don't need full power, like during highway cruising or light driving. It sounds smart and efficient, right? But one of the biggest issues is uneven engine wear. When only part of the engine is running, certain cylinders and components experience more stress than others, which can lead to early wear or even mechanical failure over time. This can cause problems like rough idling, vibration, or misfires once the system starts acting up. Another problem is complexity. Cylinder deactivation systems add extra parts like special lifters, solenoids, and sensors. The more complicated the system, the more there is to break or malfunction. Repairs can also be costly since diagnosing issues in these systems isn't simple. 12. Button shift knobs. Button shift knobs, or push-button gear selectors, are meant to give cars a modern, high-tech look that free up space in the center console. But when it comes to reliability, they're not always the best idea. One major problem is complexity and confusion. Unlike traditional shifters that you can feel click into gear, button shifters rely on electronic signals, so if the electronics malfunction, the car might not shift properly, and, or worse, fail to go into the correct gear. Another downside is repair and replacement costs. Since the system is electronic, it's more expensive to fix compared to a simple mechanical shifter. So while button shifters may look futuristic, they actually only add unnecessary complexity to something that used to be simple and reliable. 13. Tire mobility kit. Next, we have tire mobility kits, which are designed to replace the traditional spare tire with a smaller, lighter repair kit that includes sealant and an air compressor. While this setup saves space and weight, it also comes with several downsides that affect convenience. The biggest issue is limited effectiveness. Tire mobility kits only work for small punctures, usually less than 6 millimeters. So if your tire has a sidewall cut, a blowout, or a large puncture, the kit becomes useless and you'll still need a tow. On top of that, the sealant can damage tire pressure sensors and make the tire hard to repair later, forcing you to buy a new one instead of just patching it. Another problem is short-term use. Even when the kit works, it's only a temporary fix. The tire still needs to be replaced or professionally repaired soon after, which adds extra cost and hassle. And unlike a spare tire that lasts until you can conveniently replace it, a sealed tire might not even make it very far. So while they can be a bit of a space and weight saver, the trade-off is practicality, which matters most when you're stuck on the road with a flat. 14. Turbocharged engines. Another car feature that made our list are turbocharged engines, which are popular today because they give smaller engines more power and better fuel efficiency. The first major issue with this is extra stress on the engine. Since a turbo forces more air into the cylinders to create more power, it makes the engine work harder and run hotter. Over time, that extra heat and pressure can wear down parts faster, especially if the car isn't regularly maintained or the oil isn't changed on time. Another problem is complexity and repair cost. A turbocharged engine has more parts like the turbo itself, intercoolers, and extra piping that can fail or leak. Turbos are also sensitive to maintenance. Skipping oil changes, using the wrong fuel, or pushing the engine too hard when it's cold can lead to early failure. So while they are powerful, they often only add more repair worries down the line. 15. Electronic parking brakes. Electronic parking brakes are also becoming more common in modern cars because they look cleaner and are easier to use with just pushing a button instead of pulling a lever. But the problem with it is complexity. Unlike traditional handbrakes that use a simple cable system, they rely on electric motors, sensors, and wiring. When one of those fails, it can be expensive to fix. Another issue is maintenance and repair costs. A mechanical handbrake can be fixed for cheap, but when an electronic one breaks, it usually means replacing electronic modules or actuators, which can cost hundreds of dollars. It's not something you can easily fix yourself either, since it often needs diagnostic tools to reset. So while electronic parking brakes add convenience and a modern look, they can be less dependable and much more expensive to maintain in the long run. 16. Continuously. Variable transmission, CVT. Continuously, variable transmissions, CVTs, have also become popular because they promise smoother acceleration and better fuel efficiency compared to traditional automatic transmissions. But when it comes to long-term reliability, CVTs often come with more downsides than benefits. One of the main issues is wear and tear on the belt or chain. Unlike regular gear transmissions, CVTs use a belt or chain to connect the pulleys, and over time, this can stretch or wear out. When that happens, the transmission can start slipping, making the car feel weak or jerky, and repairs are usually expensive. Another problem is heat buildup. CVTs often operate under higher stress and can get hotter than standard automatics. Without proper maintenance or frequent fluid changes, this heat can damage internal components, leading to premature failure. Lastly, CVTs can feel less responsive and less durable under heavy loads, like towing or aggressive driving. While they are great for city driving and fuel savings, they tend to have a shorter lifespan and higher repair costs than traditional transmissions, which is something to keep in mind if long-term reliability matters. 17. Glass roofs. Another new car feature that made it to our list are glass roofs, which make a car's interior feel bright and open, but still come with several downsides that can affect reliability and comfort in the long run. One of the main problems is heat. Glass traps sunlight and raises the cabin temperature, especially during summer. This forces the air conditioning system to work harder, which can lead to faster wear on the AC components. Another issue is durability. Glass roofs, even when made from strong materials, are still more fragile than metal ones. They can crack from debris impact, extreme temperature changes, or stress over time. Replacing a glass roof is also very expensive and can cost several times more than fixing a traditional steel roof. 18. Gauge cluster. Yes, digital gauge clusters may give your dashboard a high-tech feel, but they also come with a few drawbacks that can affect reliability over time. One of the main issues is durability. Unlike traditional analog gauges, digital screens rely on software that can fail or freeze. When this happens, the entire display might go blank or show incorrect information, which can be dangerous if you're driving and can't see your speed, fuel level, or warning lights. Another concern is cost. If a digital gauge cluster breaks, replacing it can be very expensive since it often requires dealership service and software reprogramming. Unlike older mechanical gauges that can be fixed cheaply, Digital ones are more complex and harder to diagnose. Lastly, constant animations, brightness changes, or touchscreen controls can pull attention away from the road. So while digital gauge clusters look sleek and advanced, they tend to be less reliable and not always the most practical option for long-term use. 19. Auto Parking Assist Systems. Next, we have the Automatic Parking Assist System, which also comes with some drawbacks that can affect a car's long-term reliability. One of the biggest issues is that the system relies heavily on sensors, cameras, and software. These components can easily malfunction due to dirt, rain, or even minor impacts, which can cause inaccurate readings or system errors. When that happens, the system might not park correctly or could even stop working altogether. Another downside is the cost of repairs. Since these parts are often located on bumpers, they can be affected even by light scratches or minor collisions. Once the sensors or cameras get damaged, replacing it can be very expensive. Over time, maintaining can cost much more than parking the car manually. 20. Gesture Control. Let's talk about gesture control next, which might seem like a fun feature, but in reality, it brings lots of issues as well. One of the main issues is that the system relies on sensors and cameras that detect hand movements, and these can easily get confused. Poor lighting, reflections, or even wearing gloves can make the system ignore commands, which can be frustrating while driving. Another drawback is that it adds unnecessary complexity to the car's electronics. More sensors and control modules mean more things that can break down over time, which can be quite expensive to repair when they malfunction. Many drivers also find gesture controls less accurate and slower than simply pressing a button or using steering wheel controls. 21. Air Suspension Systems. The last feature on our list is air suspension systems, which is one of the most high-maintenance features you can have. Air suspensions replace traditional metal springs with airbags and compressors that adjust with the driver's height and comfort automatically. While it's impressive, the parts are much more delicate than regular suspension components. Over time, the rubber airbags can dry out, crack, or leak, especially in areas with extreme weather. The system's complexity also affects reliability in the long run. Since air suspensions rely on electronics and sensors to keep things balanced, any small electrical fault can cause uneven ride height, poor handling, or even complete system failure. So, while air suspensions feel luxurious, they're not the best option if you're after a reliable and worry-free car for years to come. Let's keep in mind that, yes, cars and technology work hand in hand, and for the most part, these new advances make driving easier, safer, and more comfortable. But on the other side of modernity, there are features that we need to think twice about, because while they look cool and feel advanced, they can also bring more problems than benefits in the long run. Some modern features add complexity to your car's system, which means more things that can go wrong or wear out faster. What's supposed to be convenient can turn into expensive repair bills later on, especially when parts are harder to find or require specialized service. This is why it's always good to balance what you want with what you actually need in a car. At the end of the day, having the latest features is great, but reliability and practicality should still come first. We hope you find this video helpful, and if you're dealing with other issues with your car, let us know by leaving a comment below. We'll gladly cover that next here on Fix It. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming tips.